Alright, hello everybody, and today I would like to talk more about pack stats. Recently, I made a video titled Loot from 3,234 Chronicle packs, and that was a video that took me several months to do, and certainly out of all of the videos I've ever made, is the one I'm most proud of, across all of my channels actually. So do check that out if you haven't done so already, the link's in the description below. But in that video, I showed lots of stats, lots of graphs, such as this one, expected percent collection obtained. So if you wanted every single card in the game, 100% of the collection, you would need to get 650 packs, as you can see. Or actually, if we go over to my other spreadsheet, you would need to open exactly 644 packs, on average. How did I get that average? Well, I simulated opening packs until you got a complete collection 1 million times. So the first run of that, I kept opening packs, kept opening packs, kept opening packs until all of the cards were available. 728.6 packs were done. Now obviously I didn't open those packs, this was a simulation, and I did that simulation 1 million times. If we scroll down all the way to the bottom, it would be a million there, and basically that 644 is an average. But we used a computer to simulate opening these packs. It's explained how I did that in the pack video, again, which I mentioned is in the description. But we basically used these stats to do that, or this is what the computer used. It used the stats generated here, so that 72% of the time you would get a sapphire, 22% of the time you would get an emerald. And then, of course, these two are combined. The rubies and diamonds is roughly 5%, just over, if you combine those two. So that's what the stats it was using. And basically, I wanted to make this data available publicly. There's a link below to download this spreadsheet. Perhaps you want to do something more interesting than I did, or you want to do it again, or whatever it is you want to do. I wanted to make that available out there. But yes, basically, starting on the March 16th, when the game entered early access, people could buy packs, and you could never have done that before. Back in closed beta, you couldn't buy packs, and when this feature was introduced, it was like, oh, I'm going to buy all the packs, and lots of people, including me, streamed themselves opening very large numbers of packs, and you know, all these videos, the VODs and stuff like that, ended up on Reddit and the forums, so I collected all of those. And then big promotional streams started happening, like Kriparian and you know, Trump from Hearthstone and Maz, and all of these people were streaming as well, and they opened large numbers of packs as well. And basically, I went through all of these VODs, and whenever they occurred, and I put them in the spreadsheet. I went through it for a fine comb and put in what cards they got into the spreadsheet. Well, not exactly what cards they got, but certainly the rarities. As you can see, the first pack ever open, they got 3 sapphires, 1 emerald, and a ruby. Pretty good. And the second pack ever opened that I recorded was 3 sapphires, 2 emeralds, no rubies, and also no diamonds. No diamonds here at all, until the 6th pack, which is actually above the curve. It's actually 1 diamond in every 27 packs or so, and he got it on the 6th pack. So, yeah, that's pretty lucky there. But if you... Exactly. Something I would like to do that I won't do because I don't know how is... Well, firstly, let me show you, again, here we have... This is the 644 packs that we simulated, was the average of 1 million simulations. The minimum number of packs that was open to complete the entire collection, you know, this one, if we think of all these simulations as a different person, then one guy basically won the lottery and got incredibly lucky with his dice rolls, rolling diamonds left, right, and center, and only opened 405 packs to get the entire collection, which is well below the average. But obviously, 1 in a million times, you will find someone that lucky. Most of the time, as you can see, percentile 90 here, that is 90% of all of these 1 million simulations. 90% of them were all finished by 712, and as you can see, 10% of all of them were finished by 577. So as you can see, the percentiles are fairly useful for just visually seeing that you are very, very unlikely to go 50 packs either side of this average. I mean, if you look at percentile 90, you can see exactly how likely that is. But, yeah, 405 was the minimum. 919 was the maximum, but I'm not certain that that is actually representative of 1 in a million packs, and I'd like somebody who is good at stats to think about it and maybe tell me if I'm right or wrong, because in reality land, when you open packs, as we know, you always get an emerald. 100% of the time, the pack will have at least an emerald in it. It has to have that in it. It can't be worse than that. But what I suspected happened with the 919 guy was that, you know, it says here 72% of the time you get a sapphire, and I imagine he got a fairly decent number of sapphires, obviously, but then 22% of the time you're supposed to get an emerald. Now, I have no idea how many emeralds he got as a percentage. of the time, but I suspect it was much, much lower than that. I think this guy got particularly unlucky, and obviously that's impossible in real life because you will always get an emerald. I don't know, though, if that really has too much of a bearing, because emeralds, in the grand scheme of things, are very common. He probably just got shafted on the rubies and diamonds, so that 919 could definitely be representative, but I don't know. Now, why didn't I incorporate that? You know, I know that you always get an emerald. Why didn't I make it so that you could always get the emerald in the pack opening simulation? Well, the answer to that is because I don't know, nobody does, except Jagex, how they simulate their pack, or how they actually do packs, right? Do you roll 5 cards, and then it reorders them, so it's always the rarest at the end? I suspect that is what they do. But what if it rolls 5 sapphires? It has to give you an emerald, so what does it do? Like, does it take one of the sapphires and re-roll it until you get an emerald, and then just show them to you once it's gotten the emerald? Or does it roll 4 cards, and then roll one final card that rolls on a drop table that is only emerald to diamond? Like, how does that work? I don't know how it works. So what I could do is use this data and set lots of custom rules. You know, I could tell the pack simulator, always roll a diamond on this separate drop table, and or I could tell it roll 5 cards. If one of them is not an emerald, roll that final card again until it is at least an emerald. I could tell it to do that. You could set lots of custom rules, and you could try and find the rule that produces stats similar to this large sample. That's a way you could do it. Maybe someone wants to do that. I don't want to. I've spent months on this, and I want to move on and make actual, you know, videos like deck guides and stuff like that. But I think it's interesting, and I think, you know, you could do loads with this stats, like binomial distributions and stuff. And I would, you know, encourage everyone who is able to do that, or would like to do that, to post their findings on Reddit in this thread below. That'd be really interesting, I think. If you are interested, though, in going through the stats and doing something like that, I would like to mention that, you know, if we scroll down to about halfway, you will notice, yeah, here, 4 diamonds in the same pack, as well as 10 rubies, 60 emeralds. These 3 here, there's lots of cards in those packs. So how did that happen? Obviously, they are not single packs. They are lots of different packs, clearly. I didn't see those ones personally, basically. What happened was somebody, maybe they didn't have fast enough internet to stream or upload their video to the internet, so instead they wrote down what cards they got as they were opening them, and then they sent me it on, you know, whatever it was they sent me it on. They sent me a personal message with the info in, and I just dumped it into the spreadsheet. So how you deal with these is up to you. Basically, for me, it didn't matter because I knew that they were, you know, there's no reason for them to lie about that data, but it's not conveniently listed in this format where it shows what sapphire, emerald, ruby, and diamond they got, because you can't see the individual packs. They just sent it to me in bulk, in aggregate, or whatever you want to call it. But, yeah, just be aware of that if you do want to do any pack analysis. But I also, in my video, mentioned a complete competitive collection. I said that you would only need 302 packs to get what I called a competitive collection. Now, what on earth is that? You see this big block of text here? Well, if we head on over to the Chronicle card list, the simulator I use actually uses this very list here, in this book, in this exact spreadsheet, to function. Now, to simulate opening every single pack until you have a complete collection, you use the default, which is here. But in principle, you could say, well, you know, use your own collection. I already have 2 copies of Adamant Dragon. I have 1 animated book. I have 2 Ankus. I have 2 Anticipations. You could do that, right? You could put in your own. You could say, oh, and I think that Bind is a useless card. I don't want Bind. How many copies of each card do you want? I don't want any Binds. You know, you could do that if you wanted to. How many Cabin Boys do I want? I don't want any Cabin Boys either. And you could even put it that this is a start recycling point, right? Maybe you don't want any Cabin Boys, like. Or let's say the bind there. You don't want any binds, but if you get one, you're not going to recycle it because you know that that's a waste of gem shards. You don't really want the binds, you're hoping you don't get it, but if you do, you're going to keep it. That's the logical thing to do. But with Cabin Boy, maybe Cabin Boy's so bad that even if you do get copies of him, you don't want those copies, but even if you get those copies, you're going to recycle them. You put that value to 0. Now, obviously, that's more useful for down the bottom here with the diamond cards. Let's say you get like a Lady Raven, and you know it's good for Gold Zan, but you didn't really want it, so you're going to put 0, so you don't want the computer to keep opening packs until it gets the Lady Raven. You don't want the Lady Raven. But if you do happen to get the Lady Raven, you're not going to disenchant it, because it's really valuable. You might want it one day, but you didn't actually, like, want it. So yeah, that's what the start recycling is for. So basically, I just went through all the cards and set my own custom parameters for that. Yeah. So let's just, I'm going to set all of these to 0 again, which we can do just like that. And let's do a simulation of just getting every sapphire and every emerald. We don't want any rubies or any diamonds. So I'll be back once I've set all of that in this parameters. So what we've done is set this value to 2 and the start recycling point to 2 as well for every single sapphire. But when we get to, and every single emerald as well, but when we get to the rubies, I've set it to 0, and we don't want any of these. Now, what we could do, if we wanted to, is go through this and say, right, well, let's say Cerberus. I don't even, if I get Cerberus, I'm just going to get rid of those instantly, so I'm going to set that to 0, and we could go do that for Crypt, we could do that for Dragath Nern. This isn't necessarily representative of how I actually think. I'm just Heem Alchemist will say is 0, Ice Troll will set to 0. You know, you could do that, right? And let's just do the simulations for the sake of it. So if I save this now, press save, and we go to the parameters here, we're going to do 100 replications, okay? If we do more than that, it might take a while to load. For my video, I did 1,000,000, which took several hours, but 100, that should be done really quickly. So we'll save this. And then I can close this down. So make sure you do close the spreadsheet down when you do the simulation. Otherwise, if it's open, it won't like that. And then as you can see here, if we go into... Basically, for this to work, you need to install Access Database Engine, which will also make below. It's a thing by Microsoft. Google it if you're not sure. And then you need to open up my application. Your virus protection will not like this at all. So if you trust me, that's great. If you don't, then don't use it. And then it will bring up this. Now, the Excel path has to be exactly where that spreadsheet is. So to get that, I would recommend clicking on the top here, and you can copy and paste that out, and then you can load up the simulator. Here it is. And then you want to put this in, but you also then need to get the actual bit at the end. So you need to put Chronicle space pack simulator, right? Because that's the name of the Excel, and then it's actually .xlsx. That's the file type, but it doesn't say, but you do need to have that in there as well, otherwise it won't have a hard time finding where it actually is. So make sure that the Excel path is correct. If it does not work, then you are doing it wrong, not me. Everything works, I promise you. So then press simulate, and then it doesn't tell you when it's done, so I would just recommend opening up I'd recommend opening the Windows Task Manager, and for me it's about 15%, but when it's done, this will drop down to 0%, and you'll know that it's finished. So I will be back when it's finished. Shouldn't take too long. I thought it would be done by now. It'd probably be done the second I pressed stop recording. It's nearly done now. It's now, Microsoft Excel is now the, oh, it's finished. Yeah, so once Windows Forms is done, Microsoft Excel will then come up and use lots of processing power as it writes the information into Excel. But what we can now do, since that's all gone away, is open up the Pack Simulator spreadsheet in Excel. And once that's loaded, we will be able to see, it'll put the results of our simulation right here. Output 7, it's called. And as you can see, for every sapphire and every emerald, except, and you know, we changed some of the rubies to say that if we got them, we would recycle them instantly, and those gem shards that it would recycle would be used to create the sapphires and emeralds here. And to get every sapphire and emerald, you only need to open 168 packs on average. Now, obviously, the more simulations we do, the more accurate that average will be. But 100 simulations will tell you roughly what that number is, and I imagine you could do it 100,000 times, and this number wouldn't change by very much. So you don't need to do masses of simulations unless you care about accuracy to like 3 packs or something like that. No need, though, if you just want to put your own collection in and then press simulate. But you can do that in principle. It will tell you exactly, you know, you can set what you want your collection to be, what your collection is, and then press go, and it can do that. So links all below for all of this stuff. Do not set it to more than 1 million simulations, though, because I think Excel has an upper limit on the number of cells it can have in a spreadsheet, and you do not want to exceed that, otherwise it'll just be a big waste of time. But the maximum you could ever need for extremely accurate results would be about 10,000 simulations. I did 1 million because I have a very fast processor and I wanted to make a cool video, but really you just don't need to, unless you really want to. So, if you are trying to, use this program to help you out with your own collection, you can also put how much dust you currently have in as well. That's available in the parameters section down here. So if you have, I don't know, 10,000 dust, you can put that in. Yeah. Basically, if we look here, these are the exact parameters I used to calculate that you would need 302 packs for a competitive collection. Now, my idea of competitive collection might be different to yours, but that's what I found, and you could tweak all of these values to suit what you think a competitive collection is for you, and it'll tell you how many more packs you need to open to get that. So there's that. Alright, so the final thing to show, I think, is this new Chronicle pack data collection, which I'll probably just rename formulas when I release it. But if we open that up, we'll see that this is where I got those graphs from. This is the one I showed earlier. Expected percent collection obtained. How did I work that out? Well, if we go to book 1 and scroll all the way up, that's just a big wall of numbers, actually. The expected percent collection obtained is here, right? And I just took all of these numbers with all of the packs opened and made a graph out of it. But obviously, how did I work this out? Well, you can see the formulas are here. It takes this number, total unique cards in the game, and then subtracts the expected number of unique cards left. And the expected number of unique cards left, well, how did we work that out? You can see it's actually L12, whatever that is. You can take it. This is all mathematically correct, I think, but it's there if anyone wants to take a look at it. This is how I got those graphs, and using this data, you could create lots of other kinds of graphs that I didn't, which would be very interesting to see if you want to do that. I would like to point out that the expected likeliness that the card is unique, obviously the very first card you open is 100% likely to be unique, and then the second card you open, it's very, very likely, 99.76% something like that, very, very likely. There's that slight chance, which is represented here, that it will be a duplicate, very, very small, but obviously the further you go down, the more likely the card is to be a duplicate, and the less likely it is to be a unique card that you open. How did I get those? Well, if we scroll over, we can see that I worked out specifically for sapphires, and for emeralds, and for rubies and diamonds, and then basically added all of those together, or subtracted, something like that. But you can use this to do some very interesting stats work as well. If you don't want if you don't want to use the simulations, you can just go off raw maths and probabilities based on the stats, which is what I did at first before my friend suggested making a simulator, and I thought the simulator would be a nicer way to show it in a video. But this is available. And I'll make this spreadsheet available for download as well. Beware though, this one's 8 megabytes big, and the previous spreadsheet, because I simulated stuff a million times, is 20 megabytes big. So they're quite big spreadsheets. Don't be put off by that when you download it. It's not a virus or anything like that. They're just big spreadsheets. That is it from me. Thank you very much for watching. All of these things will be available for download in the description below. Please do upvote this YouTube video. I meant like this video, but you can upvote whatever you like. But yes, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again next time.